Okay, hello everybody. I got kicked out and then it was sharing my screen and then it wasn't, but it doesn't really matter because we are here today to talk about collaborative documents in Google Classroom. Why do we use Google Classroom? Is not to put our things online, but rather to find ways to interact better with students. And one of the great things about Google Classroom is I can reduce how much paperwork I have. So I like to say when you add a document into Google Classroom, you have the default is students can view this file. Not so transformative because we want students to interact, of course. So then the middle option is students can edit this file, which I like to rename to students can collaborate. And that bottom option is create a copy of the file for each student, which I like to think is like poison. You know, you can drink a little bit and survive, but too much will kill you. So too much paperwork will kill you, friends. And so I would like to argue that when we use the tools that Google provides for us, which is really a collaboration suite, then students learn more and I should have less paperwork. But what? So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Google Classroom here. You can see that I am in a class. I am on the stream and I'm going to switch to the classwork page. I'm going to switch to the classwork page. I'm going to choose create and I'm going to create an assignment. So once I jump into the assignment, when it loads here, give it a second. Now, if you don't know, coming soon is the ability to schedule to multiple classes. So it goes out to first period a different time than it goes out to third period. That is coming. It is not there yet. Please join the Facebook group if you have not done it already. Join the Facebook group at backtoclassroom.org. Backtoclassroom.org is just a quick link to the Facebook group if you want to join that. What we are talking about there I need a do-over. Oh, goodness. It's just late in the day, friends. What we're talking about at backtoclassroom.org is how we're going to get back to school, which obviously I'm still warming myself up for that, back to school, getting back into Google Classroom and looking at what are some things that we can use with Google Classroom to help engage students and to really make our teaching experience even better. Google Classroom is great, but there's also a lot of great tools that you can use with it, like Mote. I'm a big fan of Mote. It allows me to record my voice and give students personalized feedback, and it's so easy to use as a Chrome extension. I like Pear Deck because I go from talking at students to talking with them. They get to interact on my slide decks with me. And I love Schoolitics because I work there, but I asked to work there because I love them. Schoolitics.io gives me that information I need about students so I can make sure that my kids are not falling through the cracks. So if you'll join us at backtoclassroom.org, I will be able to continue these conversations, answer questions, and share about how we use Classroom and how we use those apps that connect back in with it. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. I am still learning how to use StreamYard. StreamYard is not an app that works awesome with Google Classroom. Screencastify is. So if you're going to do video, I encourage you to check out screencastify.com. Okay, so I have created an assignment. And my trick is I always number all of my assignments with a hashtag and a 3-digit number. So I'm going to call this number 015, and we're going to collaborate on brainstorming. Okay, now there are several ways that you can collaborate with students. It can have something that you've already made, or you can create something on the fly. This is my favorite. The student engagement doesn't come from having great clip art. It comes from having students actively engage, participate. They get to do the thinking and the talking. So my MO is I like to go create, and I create a Google Slides. I create Google Slides, and it's just going to pop this open into another tab. That does assume that your pop-ups are enabled. So make sure your pop-ups enabled. If it doesn't pop up, it's not a big deal. All you have to do is where it says Untitled Presentation, click on it. You'll see it comes right up in another tab. Okay, so once I have it open, I like to match the assignment number in my document title. So this is number 15. So I do hashtag 015. And then I'm going to say share a sentence with a proper noun. Now, what's great about Google Classroom is it solves the sharing permissions problem. Old school, I'd have to go to the share button, and what I would ask students to do, is I would put their email address in there, or I would just get the link where anyone can edit. Now, the problem with anyone can edit is students join as anonymous animals. And as fun as it is to have the chupacabra in my documents, I much prefer to know that John and Melody are in my documents. So Google Classroom solves this by explicitly adding students by name where I don't have to copy and paste their email addresses into anything. It's just going to do that for me. So notice that this is totally blank. All I have done is I put my 3-digit number, and I try to put about 5 words. I don't try to get too lengthy. Anything I put on the slides is likely to be deleted, so I usually don't bother. And so I'm going to go ahead and just close it because I don't need to. Now you'll notice here it still says Untitled Presentation. It actually doesn't. It's just I have not refreshed this screen, so it hasn't refreshed that title. It is updated. Now what you see here is it says students can view file. Students can view file. I'm going to switch that to students can edit file. So this is what I wanted to share with you today, is to use that middle option a lot more often. Don't refresh. You don't need to refresh when you save it, or you save it as a draft. It will do the refreshing process. If you refresh, well, it does save automatically. Probably refreshing won't hurt you, but you don't need to do that. Just be aware that it knows. Okay, sorry about that. So we're going to do the middle option. Students can edit file. This is what we want. This is how we get students to collaborate. I want to do this more often than this bottom one. Make a pile of paperwork for yourself. Make a giant pile of paperwork for yourself sounds awful. I totally do this. I just like to do it 20% or less. 20% or less, make a copy for each student. Otherwise, students can collaborate, that middle option. The more I do this, the less paperwork I have, and the more we do things together, which improves student learning. When the students do the talking, when the students do the work, the students are doing the learning. That's one of the key tenets here. So I want to do that middle option, students can edit file. It's pretty easy to forget and leave it as students can view. No problem. You can go in and edit the assignment later and switch it to students can edit. It's totally fine. So my standard directions are add a slide and put your name in the speaker notes. Okay, and then what do I want them? My prompt is, please add a sentence to the slide with a proper noun, or whatever I ask them to do. Right, and I can assign points if I want to. And then the other thing I'm going to ask them to do is please put the link to your slide in the private comments. So here's a fun fact. Every slide in Google Slides has a unique URL. So if you're working on slide 15, if you copy the link to slide 15, then it's going to go right to slide 15. So this is how students can turn in their individual work when we're working all together in the same Google Slides. Okay, so I'm going to do my topic. My topic is today. You can do the drop-down menu to assign or schedule or save as draft. I'm going to assign it. Here we go. Okay, I'm coming down here to today. So now students are going to all have access to this same Google Slides. What I want them to do, now it's not a natural skill. They weren't born knowing how to collaborate in Google Slides. So as is when you first learn to ride a bike, you fall down, you scrape your knees. It's just going to be a process to learn how to collaborate together on the same Google Slides. There is no need to make a bunch of slides where they claim one or put their name on it. That you could do it, but then you're always doing it. They can do it. We just need to work with them. These are our norms. Let's try it again. Let's do it again. No matter what you do in your classroom, do it often. If you're going to do collaborative slides, do collaborative slides like every day. You know, at first it's like, what are we doing? How does this work? But then they get used to it and it becomes part of the routine of your classroom. If you only do it infrequently, you can expect there to be hiccups when you do it. So what I want them to do is to click this tiny triangle and choose a layout. What I love about this with starting out with the blank slides that I don't automatically give them one is they have to choose the layout. They get to make a decision. It's a small decision, but and a lot of times in a student's day, they don't get to make any decisions. Can I go to the bathroom? Can I write with a pen or a pencil? We all have classroom rules on that. They can't just decide. So I want them to make a decision. What's the right layout in this situation? I one time worked with a class and I asked them to write a figurative language paragraph. My husband's an English teacher and worked with his class. And a lot of the students chose caption. So they're down here writing their paragraph in this little tiny box. And I go and I say, does that really seem to you the best way to communicate your ideas? So let's look, which one of these do you think would be better? And ask them to think about what's the right way to communicate digitally and visually. It's a great skill for them to know how to do it from scratch. So I encourage you to just let them do it. So I'm going to click a section header. And then down here, I'm going to change the font just so it's easier for you to see. I want them to put their name down in the speaker notes. And I see the ticker is hiding that, so I will go ahead and pull this up. So these speaker notes, every slide has the speaker notes. I want them to put their name in the speaker notes. I'm going to put Melody, and I'm going to put my friend Anna, and put my daughter Reagan. Now here is a fun trick. If I Control find, and I type Alice, it's going to find Alice in the speaker notes. So when I ask students to put their name in the speaker notes of Google Slides, how do I know whose slide is it? How do I find it? Two ways. One, if they put their name in the speaker notes, Control F, I can jump to that slide. The other way I can do it is if students are actually in the document at the same time, you can actually click on their little icons up at the top. You know, when people join the Google Doc, their icons appear. You click on that icon, it goes to where their cursor is. So that's a quick and easy way to get to what each student is working on and where they're at. Now, when they are done, we want them to copy the link up at the top. So you see here that this is slide 3. This is slide 3. And if I were to take this link, okay. If I were to take this link and paste it into the comments, that link, I'm not sure. I think this is working. I used a Chrome extension. I'm going to do it again just to make sure I had the right one. I'm pretty sure it's the same one. We'll just put it there. Okay, look. So that links to exactly this slide 3. And you'll notice what it shows is the slide ID, not the slide number. So even if I move it, even if other students add into it, that link's always going to take me back to that same slide. All right. And then, of course, there's no save button, so I just close it. Now, what I love about doing collaborative Google Slides, it's like a blank piece of paper. What can you not do on this? Whatever your assignment is, we can ask students to please add a slide, put their name in the speaker notes, and to put whatever you want them to do on that slide. You can have them copy the link and turn in the link, or if you want, you can do File, Download. They can download it as an image, so download it as a JPEG, and they can add that picture into Google Classroom if you want a more permanent, what did you do today, right? So they can turn those in with the link. The link does have to go in the private comments. If they try to add the link, you can only add links to things you own. And in this case, the teacher owns the slide. So students cannot turn it in as add link, but it copies and pastes real nicely into the private comments of Google Classroom. So I just want all the students in the same Google Slides as often as possible. And then once I have everybody in there, what I'm going to be able to do is just click Present. I click Present, and I'm able to go through all of the students' ideas and their work, and we do feedback together. Instead of feedback alone, I go home, I see their work, I give comments. Do they even read them? They've slept on it, friends. Do they even care anymore? Maybe, maybe not. So we're going to do it together, and we're going to do it now. So we're going to have everybody contribute. We're going to have the students give the feedback, do the talking. How could this be better? My husband's an English teacher, and one of his phrases is, even J.K. Rowling has an editor. because you may be super awesome, but you could always get awesomer. And so we want to instill this as part of our culture of our classroom. We're a community of learners. We help each other get better. And we're going to, no matter what you got, we're going to help you take a step. Well, how could this be even awesomer? I know that's not really a word. I'm just going to say it anyway. I think Melody is awesomer. She's smirking at me right now. I can see her. All right. So friends, I want to go into Google Classroom. I'm going to click create. I'm going to create an assignment. Let it load. I'm going to click create and go to slides. It's going to pop up in a tab. Number 016, share a math problem you want help with. They don't have to even type on the slide. I ask my students to do their work on quarter sheets of paper because it's the perfect size to hold up to the webcam. So they can share not the problem they got right, but the problem they want feedback on, so I can engage my students in conversations. Why are we doing this together if we're not together? Yes, it saves me paperwork. I'd rather hit myself in the head with a brick than open up 30 Google Docs. So at least I have them all together in the same document. But if I can use this to engage the kids in conversation, we learn more. And so that is my best tip here. So I always put the assignment number up in the title. So this is number 016, share the math problem you want help with. And this, just think of the dynamics change, not turn in your work, but what do you want to talk about? Not what question do you have, but which problem did you want to go over? Out of all 30 problems, which if I could quote Joe Bowler, if giving kids 30 problems worked, we'd all be good at math. That's an aside, right? Don't collect all the problems they got right. Which one do they want help with so that we can engage in a conversation? Please add a slide. Put your name in the speaker notes. Take a picture using the webcam of the math problem you want help with. Okay. And then it's important that I change it from students can view to students can edit. But what do you think is the odds that by now I have forgotten what I'm doing and I just click assign? Me all the time. So I just want to take the assignment. I'm going to drag it down to today, which is where I meant it to be. And I'm going to click on this 3 dots and I'm going to edit, 3 dots, edit. And you'll see that while the third option is now gone, you cannot fix it. If you meant to make a giant pile of paperwork for yourself, you can fix it if you meant to collaborate. So you can switch this to students can edit file, and you can later turn off sharing permission. So I'm going to do save. Let me go ahead and open this. So this is now going to be shared with my 43 students. Let's take a look at that share icon. Share. And so now notice what it has up here. It has that the class has editing rights. Well, if when you're done and you're like, we're done, guys, you can switch them from editors to viewers or commenters. Just switch them to commenters. Save. Switch them to viewers if you don't want them to be able to comment. So when you're done with the collaborative activity, feel free to change the sharing permissions. It adds everybody in as a group, and that's the group of students who are in your class. So I see Melody's giving me some extra tips on here. Sharing is caring, and the sharing icon is totally your BFF. Excellent job, and thank you to my sidekick who is hiding below and laughing at me. I can see her. Okay. I love Google Slides. It's one of my favorite ways to collaborate and interact with my students. You know what else is really cool? Jamboard. So let's go ahead and do a jam.new. I do jam.new. And I'm going to call this one number 017. Share an idea. Okay. Okay, friends, this is as easy as it gets. I create a jam. You can go to Google Drive and you can create a jam from Drive. I like jam.new, slides.new. Make sure you get the HTTP on there so that those are live links. Jam.new. Okay, cool. All right. Jam.new, slides.new, docs.new, sheets.new, sites.new. Lots of great ways to make new documents really quickly. And then I just close it. I love not having a share button. It never gets old. I'm like, oh, you have a little moment where you panic and you're like, oh wait, there's no share button. Okay, so I'm going to create an assignment. Number 017, share an idea, add a sticky note to the jam. Now this time when I go to create, you'll notice that there is no jam option. No problem. I just created another tab. It wasn't really that big of a deal. And so I'm going to go to add, and I'm going to add from Google Drive because that's where jams live. So easy. I just go jam.new, I name it, and then I come over here. Now it's going to be this first thing right here. You see it says share an idea because I just made it. So it's definitely one of my tricks is I do some small edit on whatever document I want to add into Classroom. So it's easier to find when I want to add the file. But let's pretend it's not the first one. So I'm going to click up here in search in Drive. I'm going to click on these 3 lines to filter so I can do file type. And you'll see that jams is one of the options. So now it's just going to show me all my jams that I have in Google Drive. Now, shameless self-promotion, I have a book on teaching with Google Jamboard. So if you go to alicekeeler.com/books, you can find out more about how you can up your game with teaching with Jamboard and go beyond replacing paper and how we really collaborate and interact with students. I do this the same way that I do the Google Slides. I just add it, and then I switch it to students can edit file. It's that middle option, which means collaborate. Okay, now we're collaborating. And what I want them to do, jams work a little bit different than slides. Yes, the link at the top of a jam does link you to that frame. They call it frames instead of slides. You can call them slides. It doesn't really matter. But the difference is it does not link to the frame ID. So if it says frame 5, it's actually 6 because it starts at 0. Don't ask. But if you rearrange the frames and put them out of order, then it won't link to that one anymore. So one of the tricks with the jam, let me show you. I'm going to switch this to students can edit file. That's what we're doing today. And then I want them to use the 3 dots menu to download the frame as image. I'm going to put this under the topic today. I'm going to assign. And I come down here. Oops, what happened to today? Here it is, share an idea. Be able to open that collaborative Jamboard. All my students can now add a sticky note, that icon here on the side. I like to have them first put their name, and then we go to a next frame, and they're going to share their idea on sticky notes. And so I can have all the students contribute, and we can share their ideas and drag them around. Unlike slides, Jamboard is really designed not as a presentation tool. Slides is great to be hacked as a collaboration brainstorm tool, but jams are designed to be a collaboration brainstorm tool. So if you want to get students' ideas, one of the best ways to do it is to use Google Jamboard. Be aware that there are only 20 frames. You'll see I have 2 frames up here in the frame bar. You can only have 20 of them max, just so you know. And again, I can just close it. But what I want the students to do is 3 dots and save frame as image. And then the students can upload that frame to submit it into Google Classroom. Now, most of the time, I don't need that at all. We're doing stuff together. I can tell who's participating and what we're doing. It's just a lesson or an activity, and I don't need them to turn in anything, but I'd like them to be in the habit, because when I do want it, I don't want to have to explain it. So I pretty much always ask them to submit their participation. Why not? Okay, so we have come up on our time. That is just a couple of ways that you can collaborate in Google Classroom. The key is to create an assignment and to change it from students can view file to students can edit file. Okay. Your tips for how to get back into using Google Classroom. Classroom. Are you doing that, Melody? Oh, it keeps kicking me out. And this is why I'm thrown off. It's acting spooky today. It just will not allow me to show my slide. Whatever. Share our tips and that you can ask me questions. I'm Alice Keeler. I'm a high school math teacher, and I code for Schoolitics.io, and I hope to engage with you all year around how I can help you go back to classroom.